Hello everybody, and welcome back to another YouTube video. So this video is going to be about machine learning. I'm going to teach you guys how to create an AI chatbot using the pre-trained model GPT-2. But before that, let me actually briefly go over what is machine learning. So machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence which teaches models to make decisions and predictions rather than being rule-based. So what a rule-based model is, let's say in its training data, it's something like this. So if the user says hi, and then the model is trained to reply with hello. So the problem here, finish writing hello. So the problem here is that if the user types I with the uppercase or H lowercase, and then the model will not understand. So you literally have to do like every sentence, every possible sentence, everything the user could possibly type. So that's very overwhelming and not a good practice. So clean all those things aggressively. So also when you get the data and everything is clean, everything is filtered, now there are two things a model can do. It could rather memorize, I'm just gonna do mem, or generalize. I'm gonna do gen for generalize. So first let me go over what is memorization. So memorization is something like this. So let's say in training, a model sees something like this. The question is what? Let me just do 2 plus 2, and then the answer is 4. So A is 4. So now if the model sees this billions of times and trillions of times, and then what happens is that it starts to memorize. It becomes overconfident, and the model starts to memorize instead of generalizing. I'm going to go over generalizing after this. So if it generalizes, the problem is if someone asks it something beside 2 plus 2, for example 3 plus 2, the model will not understand, and it will just return some hallucination or something random. So hallucination, let me also go over hallucination first. So hallucination is when a model returns something totally random because it does not know the answer to the question the user is asking. So let's say if a user asks 3 plus 2, it just finds 3 in its data, and it just finds 2, and then it blends it, and it just returns something totally random, which can sometimes even be unrelated, inaccurate, and all those things. So yep, to avoid memorizing, you have to avoid showing the model the same data over and over again. So the next thing is generalizing. So generalizing is when the model sees the same data but in different patterns. For example, if a model sees 2 plus 2 for the first time, that's fine. Second time, that's fine. But third, fourth, fifth time, then it will start memorizing. But in order to make the model generalize, so generalize means that the model can answer accurately to unseen questions, so questions that it has not seen in its data. So this is actually very good. So that's why most companies try to make models generalize rather than memorize. So memorizing can seem good at first because the model is returning exactly what you want, but when it sees unseen questions, then it will not be able to answer accurately. So that's why we have to use generalization. So this is how generalization works. So if a model sees 2 plus 2, it's fine. And then instead of showing 2 plus 2 again and again, which makes the model memorize, you have to show it in different types. For example, 4 minus 2, and then subtraction, division, multiplication, which all equals to 4. Like for example, 2 times 2, and then like that. You have to do things which all equal to 4. And then using this, then the model will start to learn the pattern. So if someone asks it 3 plus 2, then it knows some patterns. It knows the patterns that you have to get this number, and add, subtract, or whatever arithmetic operator it is. You have to do it according to that. So if it sees this, and then it knows that you have to get these numbers and add it together, so it will reply accurately with 6. So that's how that works. And yep, I think this should be good to cover what is machine learning. So next I'm going to go over sentence transformers, which is a library we will be using, as you can see over here. So let me go ahead and go through that. Guys, so sentence transformers, or simply transformers, is a library created by Hugging Face. which is an organization. I mean, not really an organization, but a website which has models. So as you can see over here, it has 1,793,034 models. All of these. So now the one we will be using is GPT-2. Transformers is a library to download models, train them on your computer, and run them. So you can use them, and GPT-2, and some of them are actually open source and allow commercial use, but most of them do not. And GPT-2 is an example of one which does allow commercial use. Also, you could use something like GPT large, medium, or XL. The reason I'm not using it is because I'm on CPU and it takes up a lot of memory, so I do not want to do that. Or it can crash my computer. So it also shows you how to use it. But yep, this is it for Transformers, and I'm gonna go through PyTorch next. PyTorch is a library based inside NumPy, which helps models to recognize things. So for example, it can help an AI image generator recognize cats or dogs or something like that. So, and for text, let's say like text-based AI models, it could help them recognize what this means and what that means. So yep, that's actually a brief overview of PyTorch, and now let me actually go ahead and give you guys a demo of what we will be building. So we will be actually using the GPT-2 model to build an AI chatbot. So let me go ahead and give you a demo. So if I do python main.py over here, it's gonna run it on CPU, as you can see over here. We'll just wait for it. Okay, here we go. It's activated. It's ready. If I type exit, it will quit, but I'm gonna show you guys that at the end. And right now, let's say if I say what is soccer. So this is a warning. We could ignore this for now. It doesn't really matter. So we'll just wait for the model to tokenize and do all those things. Okay, here we go. It returns this. I think this is a hallucination. I do not understand. But yeah, you guys get the idea. So over here, if I type exit, it's going to say goodbye and quit. So now what I'm actually going to start doing is I'm going to go through the code. Before I go through the code, I'm just going to show you guys how to install the Transformers in PyTorch library. So over here, what you can actually do is you could go here and you can type torch, and then you can go over here, and over here you can install the latest version of Torch, and then you could also go here and type Transformers. Go here and you could install Transformers from here too and just run them in terminal, but make sure before you do it to create a virtual environment and activate it. So this is how you create a virtual environment in Python, python-v env and your environment name. So in this case I did env, and to activate your virtual environment you have to do source env/bin/activate. And now with that said, I'm actually going to start going through the code, and also I'm going to keep this full code on GitHub, and I'm going to keep the link in the description and in the comments. So if you guys just want the full code, you can go ahead and get it from GitHub. So okay, first of all, as you can see, we're using the Transformers model to import these two libraries. We're importing GPT to LM head model and tokenizer. So for those of you that do not know what a tokenizer is, so a tokenizer converts the text that a user types into numerical representation so a model like GPT-2 can understand. So for example, let's say if I say hello to the model does not know what this is, right? So if we have to convert it, and the tokenizer converts it into a numerical representation so the model can understand. So it's something like 5165, and then the model just like, okay, 5165, the user is saying hello, and then it returns the same thing in a numerical representation, but over here we're actually decoding that and printing the response. So that's what it does over here. So okay, now first what we're doing is we're classifying the model name. Like I mentioned earlier, you could do any model you want over here, and we're classifying the tokenizer for this model name. We're using this library from pre-trained model name, which is basically GPT-2. Over here we're gonna use GPU if it's available. I kept this because some of you guys might have GPU, so you could do Torch. This is what Torch is over here we're using it for. So CUDA, which is basically GPU, and if it's available we're going to use GPU, otherwise we're going to use CPU, and the model will use the device that is classified here. and then or GPU or CPU, and then we're gonna print GPT-2 chatbot is ready. Type exit to quit, just a basic print statement, and then we have a while loop. The user input. If the user types exit, we're gonna print goodbye and break it. So that's actually what happened over here. I typed exit, said goodbye, and it stopped the chat. So over here we're gonna encode the response to print it for the device that we're using, GPU or CPU. So it's actually this part is very important, especially these two over here. These top P and K are for the model's randomness and creativity. So the lower it is, it's more deterministic and creative. So over here the max length is 150 characters. So over here, as you can see, it was saying something here, but then it stopped because I think it hit the max limit of 150 characters. You could do it to 1,500 or 150,000, but for demo purposes, I'm going to keep it at 150. So the temperature is used so to determine the models, if the model should be deterministic or creative. If it's low, then the model will be deterministic. If it's high, the model will be more creative. If over here, the model is just going to be average. Yep, I mentioned this line earlier to decode the response. And over here, we're only gonna print the new part. And we're gonna strip out the user input. So what happens here is, let's say if I tell the model hello, what will happen is that the model will return its response. For example, hi, but it will return hi, but it will also add the user's input. So at first, so we also want to strip this part out. So that's why we just strip it, and then we print the bot's reply. So yep, I think this is pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'm gonna see you guys in another YouTube video.